In Madhya Pradesh, the Ajna River historically sustained the entire surrounding region. For generations, it served as the central artery for local agriculture and daily life. Today, that artery is choking. Raw drainage pipes empty directly into the current, coating the banks in layers of discarded waste and chemical runoff. Despite this visible ecological collapse, the river remains the town's primary water source. A dense, suffocating layer of plastic sits directly on top of the water the community relies on to survive. As the rot deepened and the stench became unbearable, residents physically abandoned the shoreline. They simply stopped going near the water entirely. What took hold of the town is a well-documented psychological phenomenon called the bystander effect. In this psychological loop, the presence of a large group of people discourages any single individual from intervening in a crisis. Because the pollution was so massive and so visible to everyone, every single resident assumed another person, or a civic authority, would eventually step in to handle it. Over time, walking past the toxic runoff became a normal part of the daily commute. The crisis silently integrated into the town's routine. Yet no municipal committee arrived. No government cleanup initiative was ever launched to break the cycle of assumption. The river died under the weight of plastic because an entire city watched it happen and did nothing. On Republic Day, a 19-year-old named Bidu Tabahi decided to walk down to the riverbank. He didn't wait for a permit, a budget, or a committee. Armed with a single piece of equipment and a box of garbage bags he bought himself, he waded directly into the mud. He set strict operational parameters. Every single afternoon, from 3 to 6 p.m., he arrived to clear the sludge. Dragging trash out of the Ajna was a grueling logistical task, but it served as a direct physical rejection of the paralysis that had gripped his town for years. The environment B2 entered was highly hostile. He exposed himself daily to toxic sludge and a constant risk of bacterial infection. The overgrown, rotting shoreline also concealed immediate physical dangers, forcing him to dodge venomous snakes while he worked. He absorbed the mental strain of performing this repulsive, dangerous labor completely alone, while the rest of the city went about its day. This chart maps his daily output. By simply showing up for 3 hours, B2 established a baseline of extracting 10 kilos of waste every single day. Apply that metric across a month and a half. Over 45 straight days, that localized effort mathematically compounds. The volume of that isolated labor quickly adds up to over 2 full municipal truckloads of garbage, cleared entirely by one teenager. That specific yield proves that massive logistical scaling doesn't actually require a government grant or a team of dozens to get off the ground. 45 days of work by a single teenager did more for the water than years of collective silence. The shoreline of the Ajna River is no longer hidden under a crust of rotting bags. The banks are finally visible and accessible, and the same residents who actively avoided the area out of sheer disgust are migrating back to the water. B2's labor removed the physical barrier between the town and its water. Families are returning and children are playing in the river because the sludge is finally gone. B2 took a grueling physical chore and turned it into an active defense of civic preservation. He operates on a very specific philosophy. The local water supply is an irreplaceable biological resource demanding active protection over passive consumption. His success is an indictment. It shows that the obstacle wasn't the weight of the trash, but the city's collective decision to ignore it. What happened in Madhya Pradesh serves as a simple, effective blueprint for how one person can tackle a crisis that an entire community has abandoned. If a 19-year-old steps into the mud alone with a box of trash bags, it removes every excuse we have for ignoring the degradation in our own neighborhoods. B2's 45 days on the riverbank proved that the only real obstacle to recovery was the widespread assumption that someone else would step in first.